guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between, and before I get started, we do talk about the viewer's pick of the week at the end of the video, so in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week for a chance to be featured on the episode. Also, don't forget to give this video a like, it really does help the channel. Now let's jump in. This week, we did not have 24 books or whatever I had last week. We had an average amount of 10 plus books. So let's get started. Let's see what we got here. Number 11 is Ironheart, Bad Chemistry, issue 1. I wanted to like this book more than I did because I like Ironheart. I enjoy her character. But what I thought was very jarring about this one is when I jumped in, it almost felt like I had missed something with Ironheart, where it has been a long time that Ironheart has had a series, so I don't know what I would have missed. So I also felt like what they tried to explain felt very exposition heavy, especially towards the middle of that issue. It felt honestly very wordy in the middle of the issue too, and I just couldn't get into this one. I thought the artwork was solid enough, but for a one shot, I wanted this to be a bit more moving and a bit more of a beginning, middle, and end than it felt like. So I'm giving that 2 stars, and that is number 11. Moving on to number 10, which is Polis, issue 1. This is from AWA. I really love Mark Russell. I really enjoy his political commentary, and I thought I would get a lot more of that here. And obviously there is political commentary. It's about this like floating island and how people live on this floating island. I also wanted the connection of the characters. I think this issue tried to do that, but there just wasn't that hook for me in this issue. Maybe it's just the content of this floating island not being interesting to me, but I also thought the artwork could have been stronger for this. It just didn't wow me as much as I wanted it to. So I'm going to give that 2.5 stars, and that is that was number 10. Moving on to number 9, which is the Concert of Champions, issue 1. This is a one-shot, another one-shot. There's been a lot of comic one-shots lately. And this is also kind of a continuation of Dazzler, so if you read that series, which I thought was solid enough, that's pretty much in that vein. What I was disappointed by with this issue was, I don't know if it really made it to be the best epilogue for Dazzler, and then at the same time, it's a team-up book, and I didn't feel like that chemistry was really flowing here, especially the 2 characters I really wanted to see was Dazzler and Spider-Gwen. I just don't think Spider-Gwen glued herself into this book as well as I think she could have. I don't even think she really played the drums in this. If she did, it was like a panel. It wasn't really much about her music, and I just feel like it felt a little hollow, this book, and I think it could have at least been fun, or it could have been a little bit more character driven. And for both sides, I just don't think it achieved that. So I'm going to give that 2.5 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to the topic of the video. All New Wolverine is number 8, and this is a book that I normally don't get. So I got the first issue, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'm kind of behind on Venom. I don't really need this. I don't care about the mystery. Spoiler alert, this has been spoiled already. We found out that all new Venom, which you saw on the cover, is Mary Jane. That was leaked a few days ago, and then the next day the next few days Marvel revealed, okay, Mary Jane is Venom. You can have a whole conversation of, was it a good thing that they revealed this? And I'm on 2 sides of the coin. I think for people who have been reading All New Venom and wanted that mystery, it sucks that it was revealed, and we'll talk about that in this issue if it worked or not. And then on the flip side, I'm like, oh, I probably wouldn't have picked up this issue if I didn't know that Mary Jane was Venom. So there's definitely 2 sides of the coin there. This issue in particular, I felt like had a lot to do with the tension of the reveal, which I don't even think was built up that well in this issue. But that's what you're kind of relying on, is like, who is Venom? And then the end of the issue is that reveal. It is pretty much what this cover was, which also this cover, the one I just showed you guys, that's kind of the big cover of the week as well. I actually paid $50 for this cover, which I'm like, it's Mary Jane, I'll do it. But yeah, this was like the big spec cover of the week as well. But yeah, we're building to the Mary Jane reveal, and because you're not allowed to know it's Mary Jane, there's just no character development for this character. There's no hint of Mary Jane up until the end, and there's so much Paul in this issue where I'm just like, I don't want to see Paul, I want to see more of Mary Jane. And what I think can make this a really good series, depending on the direction where it goes now that we know it's Mary Jane, is her connection to Venom. I do find that to be fascinating. She's always had a very hard connection with Venom. She's never liked Venom being involved in her life or Peter's life. So I think that her own worst enemy situation could be really interesting. It's interesting that visually she looks like a guy. So it's like you could play a lot of gender stuff there. So I think the book has potential that was not explored at all in this issue. And that is the disappointing part, because again, the thing was revealed, but at the same time, I think even if it wasn't revealed, I don't know if I would have felt the tension in this issue. It didn't feel like it was leading up to a reveal. It's just like, here's some stuff. Oh, and here's a reveal. So I gave this a 2.5 because the reveal itself is interesting. I want to know where this goes, but the story, I don't know if it's living up to what can be expectations. So that is number 8 for me. Moving on to number 7, which is Pastime issue 1. I thought this was interesting. It's a baseball story. It's like the untold baseball story. And I liked the way they used the sport in this issue, but there wasn't a character that really hooked me through to be like, I need to follow this story. But again, I thought it at least felt different because it is using a sports story and kind of has like a murder mystery in the middle of it as well. So giving that one 3 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Deadpool issue 13. If you like Wolverine and Deadpool, I think you'll enjoy this issue. It's a lot of their joking around, but the main villain, I think it's Solemn. It was like more mystical, almost like different universe, but almost Ra's al Ghul-esque. So I'm like, oh, I didn't care about that as much, but I liked Deadpool's humor, especially about his death, and I liked his interactions with Wolverine, which kind of made up for it for this issue. So I'm gonna give that 3 stars, and that's number 6. Moving on to number 5, I was a little surprised to see this a little lower, and that is Absolute Superman issue 6. It is the origin story of this character and his relationship with Martha and John. I feel like the reason why this was a little lower is that his relationship with his parents in this regard didn't really feel like his parents. It was more of like, okay, these are people kind of looking after him for a little while, because they didn't know him as a child. He didn't really make that connection with his parents, but then the Lazarus people kind of come in and it's like, we want Kal-El, and then they kind of get separated. So that was the hard part, is I don't know if they did anything truly new, even though that was like the twist, is that, you know, he didn't have like the strongest relationship with them. It didn't mean that he didn't care for them. So it just felt kind of run-of-the-mill Superman until the end, where we get Ra's al Ghul and Lois Lane checking in on an older Martha. I think there's potential in that, but I honestly don't know if this issue was necessary to kind of get to those points, because a lot of it is just things we've seen with Superman before. So giving that one 3 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is Batgirl issue 6. And at first I thought it was pretty similar to what we've been seeing. Like, we've already seen a lot with Lady Shiva and Cassandra's relationship. It was a little repetitive in the beginning. But then towards the end, what I really liked is finally we're getting to see that relationship tested, where Lady Shiva does sacrifice herself for Cassandra. Now Cassandra's gonna have to react to that and see within herself what that means about herself. Is she Batman's kid, or is she Lady Shiva's kid, or both, and what that actually means for her own self-identity? And I think it leaves on an interesting cliffhanger that will hopefully parachute the book into a different direction. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer. And this is just a fun book. It's the creative team that brought you Click Click Boom, Plush. I really enjoyed Click Click Boom when that came out, so I'm like, gotta give this one a try. And it's interesting, you know, it's really outside the box about this girl who has this murderous feeling to kill people, and she's like, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna go to fashion school. And then she's like, well, you know, these people are annoying me. Maybe I won't be good. And it's, you know, I like the view of the whole fashion school environment, and I like the fashion and in a visual medium. I thought that was really cool to see, and I think you get into her head really well. You introduced the secondary characters pretty well in this issue, so I liked it. I thought it was a good foundation for more. I'm interested to see where this blonde girl is gonna go. I think she was the only weak link where she felt very stereotypically bully character. I'm like, well, are you gonna do more with her, or is she just gonna be the trope-like character? So that's the one side that I thought was a little weaker here. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is Birds of Prey, issue 20. I would say since they changed the artist for this one, I really feel like it has found a direction. And this is kind of a murder mystery type story where we get to see someone's planting clues that don't really make sense. The Birds of Prey are on the mission. We get to see some fun dynamics between them. And you see whoever's leaving these clues are also targeting the Birds of Prey, and something happens to Barda by the end. So it's like, all right, that was fun. If you like the chemistry between these characters, I think that really is highlighted here. It's a cool mystery. It sucked me in. I thought it was a very solid issue. So giving that 4 stars, and then it's number 2. Moving on to number 1, a book that really blew me away, and I'm just keep being blown away by these run of titles, and that is Absolute Green Lantern issue 1. I thought we were gonna get a lot more Joe in this issue, and I actually thought that was the interesting twist here, was that it's not just about Joe, it's not just about Hal. It really is the establishment of the Green Lantern mythos and the Green Lantern Corps. Because we get to see that Joe and John and Guy even and Hal are all friends from the small town. And we get to see Hal runs into Abin Sur, who doesn't seem like the nicest guy. It's like almost has a space invasion style to this story where this little town is getting into trouble because of it, having some aliens invade them. So that was interesting. And Hal's in the middle of it with this weird power, his hands like looking like, you know, negative, like a negative type power. And it doesn't really look Green Lantern related. So you have that side, all while you introduce that Joe is this Green Lantern. But because we're following Hal the whole time, we don't actually see how she became this Green Lantern and how that's going to affect Hal's relationship. And I thought that was a really interesting way to tell the story. Like, what I really liked about this issue is the mystery. Because you obviously have the establishment of these characters that you already know and love from just previous Green Lantern storylines. So to see the twist is always what you want to see in these absolute titles, and I think that is done really well. The mystery is done really well. So I liked it. I thought this was a really great way to tell an absolute story, and I'm really excited for more. It also has kind of an anime feel with the art style that I think really worked for this. So overall, give me that 4.5 stars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite book was, and last week's viewer pick of the week was Batman Hush, and here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.